Okay, we're recording. So we will begin Perfect Connections today by singing happy birthday to Julia. Are you all ready? Oh, actually, you may want to, I don't know, we'll see. We'll just go with it. I know in my choir, like we all have to mute because when everybody is singing at the same time, I say we just go for it. And
let's let it be loud and annoying. I like it.
yeah, there you go.
Cacophony.
All right, ready?
A cacophony.
Okay. Happy
Birthday to
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julia.
Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
Don't lie, it wasn't beautiful.
I think I spelled it wrong. I was going so fast.
That was the opposite of beautiful.
But thank you. It was very nice.
Huh? It was a joyful noise.
A joyful
Oh my
noise.
Lord. Oh my God. Hi. Everyone has decoration. I don't know how to do that.
So if you're just joining us, because today is Perfect Connections anniversary, we're wearing party hats. So if you go to video settings, if you go under stop video and you pull up the little caret thingy at the bottom under choose video, I think it's video filter. Yeah, you'll get all these little icons there and you can pick and choose. So if you want to wear pig's ears or bunny ears or a beautiful flower crown, like Lorraine is wearing. There you go. Model your crown, Lorraine. Julie and I are starting
Sir Susan, so you said under the stop video, that one?
Oh, yeah. So, well, at least on mine, because we know Zoom varies a little bit. So the little scrolly, the little dashboard at the bottom. So you have video, like where you can turn your camera off if you want to.
Yeah.
There should be a little thing going up like this.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, and which option is get the?
And then choose video. Choose video filter.
I don't have it. I don't have that option.
You might have to update Zoom.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or
I mean, I'm lucky I can even turn my camera on. My computer is old.
That's kind of big.
Oh.
I'll wear the there we go. I'll have a daisy. I'll have a daisy in my hair. You can also do it old school, Yuji, and just look around your house for something to put on your head. That'll work too. So
I got a question right off the bat.
Good.
Specifically, and if nobody can answer, we can move on, but just so we have an outdoor classroom space. This fall we were outside as much as possible. We didn't separate until halfway through because kids just weren't wanting to separate. But now that we can be outside, my early childhood teacher wants to be outside for the entire class time, and for the separating classes I want to go inside to separate, right? Because that's what kids need. We don't really have a place to go to be separated. For the toddler classes that don't separate, I still want to come inside. She would like to stay outside. If I don't have to, I don't love doing parent ed outside. There's lots of distractions. I don't have a whiteboard. I mean, I do have a whiteboard. I have something I can write on. Papers blow away. And so, I think it's great to be outside, but I'm not good at doing parent ed outside. We have an outdoor class. It's 100% outdoors. I'm doing it. It's getting done. Oh, there we go, Eugene. Nicely done. You got it. There's your filter. You don't need a filter. You got one. But I need, and I know I've asked this before, like bring clipboards outside, but I'm still, and then I'm yelling, like I feel like I'm yelling. I'm having a terrible time I just don't like it. And I don't know how to get over it.
Did you say it was a non-separating class or it is a separating?
So is this, so the separating classes, the parents are going inside. It's the toddler classes where she wants to stay outside the whole time. I want to come in for parent time
Okay.
because it's just easier.
Can't you do that though? Like I have an outdoor class and the children's teacher and they stay outside and the adults come inside to a parent room.
Well, that's for the separating classes, but for the
Oh, they're
non-separating toddler
non-separate. I
classes,
see.
I don't know. I just really need somebody who's done this for a long time to give me all the tips because and maybe I just have to just figure it out.
What do the
Maybe.
parents want? Do you know? Have you talked to them?
They don't all want to be outside the whole time.
Yeah.
But, and it's hard because I don't want to upset them and make them hate coming to class. But my early childhood teacher thinks it's important for them to be out there. So it's just kind of this, we know what's good for kids, but we also have to find a happy medium so that we don't,
I
'cause-
think you gotta decide that maybe the parent-child time can be outside and then you move inside and they're still getting outdoor time.
right.
It's not
Yes,
taking
true.
that away from them, but
right.
I just don't see how a discussion-based group can be outside. That doesn't work. It's just too,
Yeah.
I agree, there's too much noise and distraction and
Yeah.
wind, everything.
There's a gym class from the elementary school over by, it's just, yeah, okay. So I'll just really, yeah. I just guess I was looking for confirmation that I wasn't being a wuss. Because I like being outside.
are
I
not
love being
being a wuss.
outdoors. I enjoy, but it's really hard for me. And I struggled saying, this is hard for me. I don't want to not be a team player, but
Being outside is wonderful, but it's discussion is not made for outside. Outside is for playtime and for enjoyment, but it doesn't work for discussion.
And I think don't frame it from your perspective, like frame it as to being sensitive to what parents need. I
right,
think they need to be able to hear the discussion.
right.
They need to also feel like it's safe
Yeah,
to be confidential. I mean, this week I had parents cry in 2 different classes
yeah. I had one.
because, and they like to do that when you're outside and other people see and like that. So go with, you are doing what the parents need. It's not about you. It's about your parents.
Does she want to be, why does she want to stay outside the whole time? Just because she thinks it's best to be outside, or is
Yep.
it just easier? It's not
Yep.
about, because I was thinking maybe if it was about all the cleaning that you have to do when you're in the room and that maybe.
There's a lot of that too, but it's really just, it's good for a parent, it's good for kids, it's good for everyone to be outside. And I agree, but at the same time, I'm having a hard time adapting what I have done for 10 years to make it work outdoors. So, and if I have to, I'll do it. But if I don't have to, I'd love not to. That makes sense.
I think you can also be modeling to parents that something can be good and that doesn't mean it works all the time. Like, I think we have this message like, go outside, and outside is good, and it is.
Mhm.
But just that whole, it doesn't work for everything. And that's going to be true in their lives too, that something that's good and they should be doing for their children isn't always going to work, and that it's okay to adjust. I think trying to find a way to go inside for discussion time, maybe your early childhood teacher can be the one who adjusts on that one.
Thanks, guys. Just want to make sure I wasn't being a party pooper.
This happened with me too, but it was with separating classes, and they thought, let's just all stay outside the whole time. And I just said, I have a really important topic right now, and discussions don't work out here, and we have traffic and motorcycles and everything. And I just said no. I said, these parents deserve this time. They're paying for this class, and this is part of it, and they deserve to have a quality discussion.
And I did it in the fall like that, where we stayed outside with our parent group and stayed out, did parent-child time, and then our group stayed outside as adults. and the content was almost nothing, mostly it was parents talking amongst, our group or whatever, that whatever I was giving them, I would give them to take home, and we would maybe touch base during that time, but it's loud and the kids are coming back and forth. And, so then I doing the same class this spring, and we made a decision that I would go inside with the adults because we just weren't getting anything accomplished. So.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. You're a terrific sounding board as always.
Yeah, Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Yeah, we discovered that some of the different versions of Zoom or upgrades or whatever, some allow the video filters, which is why the lovely Yuji is sporting the old school version of doing this by finding something, and you already are because you're wearing your twins cap. So that can be your party hat for today. There you go. And Julie's sporting a dog on her lap and her hood. There you go. See? There you go. Show your pets. Mine is down here on the floor. There she is.
Over the past year of here and there doing online classes, Remy has decided that he does not want to miss out. And if he thinks I might be online in a discussion, he has to jump right up on my lap.
See, and that's one of the big things is always like, what are we, pros and cons, online, in person, outside, inside, whatever. And one advantage that we have with our video, our online, is we can feature our pets in ways that we can't do otherwise. So.
Yeah, I have families who ask, where, we haven't seen Buddy yet today, because he usually will walk across the screen and then they'll see the tail and they just look for, it's just funny how the pets become a part of the calls.
My husband and I really enjoy watching PBS NewsHour, and and whenever Lisa Desjardins is on in her living room, we're like, where's the cat? We're always looking for the cat, and it's almost always there.
I'm surprised at how much my cat loves my keyboard. My cat is always, as soon as I'm here, I'm like, where have you been all day? Now you're here right on top of the keyboard.
Because it is actually all about the cat.
On their terms, when they want it to be.
Exactly. It's not about us anymore. So, well, thank you, Ellen, for getting us going this morning with that. Parent time, easiest part to do outside. She just doesn't get it. Oh, yes. Okay. So I won't read that since not everything needs to do that. So good. Well, again, happy anniversary to Perfect Connections. Woo-hoo! We've made it a whole year. This was something that was just a response to my own being attuned to sort of parenting educators post during this a year ago when COVID was hitting and people were figuring out how to do whatever they were doing, and just as a way for us to be together virtually and problem solve and all of that. And it's continued. And so we've been here a whole year. Can you imagine? If you filled out the little survey, I haven't looked at any of the responses. I think there are about 17 people have responded so far. So I'm really curious to dig in. If you haven't done it, I'll dig up the URL, and I was going to send out a reminder anyway, just to keep it out there. I've got another survey just about, there. Just a heads up, I also have a piece of a survey that's coming out probably next week A year ago, I did a survey, just had about 5 or 6 open-ended questions, just about how your programming was adapting. And then from that, my students and I did an analysis over the summer, and then late in the summer during the Menafee conference, I shared the results and found these themes related to equity and relationships and adapting to new technologies that was on everybody's mind. So I have a follow-up, of course I do, right? I have a follow-up survey this year, and that I'll be sending out. So before I do that though, if any of you would be so kind to take a look at it. I've been working with an educator from St. Paul to kind of generate questions. And then now I'm really refining it down because I don't want this thing to be too long. But before it goes live, I would love to hear, I would love to, if anybody wants to like run through it as a pilot and then say, you know, you're really not getting, or you're, you know, you could phrase it this way and it could be better understood or something like that. I would appreciate it. So if you'd be willing to do that, let me know, and I'll send it to you. You can walk through it. So, but I'm excited to do that. I've got another wonderful team. I've got a doctoral student this summer, and then I've got 4, possibly 5 undergraduates who are going to be helping go through because qualitative analysis takes a super long time. And what I found last year was by having this team of students, it was really such a win-win because it helped get through the analysis so that by the end of the summer I had, because we had about 122, I think last year, 125. And that's a lot of writing. You all love to talk, which is fabulous, right? So anyway, so it helped me have the really good themes by the end of the summer. But it's a win on their side because so many undergraduates don't know anything about parenting education. It's a great way for them to learn about families, kind of what's current in their lives, and immerse them in sort of an understanding of this past year, not just from their sort of college student perspective, but more from families' perspective. So anyway, so I'm really excited to have that come out this summer. So that's going to be coming out and will be open throughout the rest of the month. So you don't have to jump into it right away, but when you get it, and you will, I really, 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 really appreciate your taking your time to fill it out. And you can start it and then come back to it and all that kind of thing. So, oh, thank you. Listen, look at all you just chiming right in there. To send the survey follow-up information to the Whole Perfect Connect. I think most would be happy to. Oh, thank you. Oh, aren't you lovely? Well, the thing is that I don't want to burn you out, because if you give me pilot feedback, then, I mean, you're all going to get it. And so I will trust that you will fill it out. I just need a couple of you. Oh, listen, oh, you guys are just the best. So this is great. So this will, okay, so you got that. So, and encourage all of your colleagues, like in your districts, encourage them to fill it out too, because in good research, the more representation, the better. So there's that. So thank you. And then I'm just going to hog the beginning here, since this is our anniversary. If you saw my email this morning, I do have a question for everybody to start us off with. And that is, what gift, so we can celebrate our community and the community that is Perfect Connections. So here's my simple question. What gift do you offer to our community? And welcome, Sarah.
You want this in the chat, Susan, or do you want us to share?
No, let's share verbally. I mean, you can do, you're free women.
I share vulnerability.
Share it however you would like to.
I share vulnerability because I'm always like, I don't know what I'm doing. Help, help. So it feels good. It feels nice, you know, just like a parent ed class where you feel comfortable and connected. You know, it's a good place for non-judgmental care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but by your being vulnerable and sharing your vulnerability, right? That is a gift to the group. Right? Yeah.
I think Brene Brown would say so too. And you know how I'll do anything that Brene Brown tells me to do. So.
I would
Hey,
prob-
Susan. Oh, sorry.
oh,
Go ahead, Loris.
I would probably just say years. You know, I'm really close to retirement now, so I've had so many wonderful, interesting experiences, and I've met so many families, and you know, in the community. I kind of see these kids in the newspaper and graduating and college graduating and all of this. So you know, I've had a few experiences that I can look back on and, you know, offer insight from that viewpoint, I think.
You know, Lori, since we're similar in age and place in our careers too, one of the things that I also would observe is how for the experiences, I mean, there was one day that you drew on an experience you had like 25 years ago. And I think that shows us as a community how our experiences can be that meaningful to us, that like we, you know, like good, bad, learning from whatever, right? But that we hold on to them, like they have informed us for so long. And then, but the other thing was it last week or 2 weeks ago, you know, you shared something that just happened. And so I love that because that's my reality too, is that no matter how long you've been doing this, you're always going to run into opportunities, challenges, wonderful things we learn from, things we need to ask our community to help us with. So
one thing I want to share that I, you know, there's a couple things that have happened in my years doing this, and one of them will just, a lot of them will never leave me, but I had a group of parents, and it was an evening group, so it was mainly couples. And one parent came with struggles of a child who is quite ill and was born with this condition. And she talked about it in class quite a bit, that, you know, when we sent around the snack sheet, she just said, well, my child can't have this. And then through the course of the year, we learned that this little guy needed to have a kidney transplant. And the next week she came and said, no family member, or not the next week, but no family member matches. And so a dad sitting across the table went home from that night, and he said to his wife, that little guy deserves a chance. Would you allow me to be tested? And his wife said, yeah, if you want to be tested. And he said, no, you don't understand. I am going to be his match. And she just looked at him. And so he said to her, you have to be in on this too, because I know I will match with this little guy. They didn't know each other outside of the class. And she said, yes, it's okay. And he's a healthy, strong, athletic, good-looking guy. So in the course of this class, he got tested and he matched. And he gave his kidney to the little boy with a parent sitting across the table. And so we went through, and it was you know, they wanted the little boy to be a little bit older because he was just a little guy and he was getting, you know, this adult kidney. So we went back, and a year later or 2 years later, the operation took place. and it was in the news on the front page of our paper. And you know where this happened? In an ECFE evening class. And when the story came out, I mean, there wasn't anybody in this room that wasn't crying. And the way this class connected was beyond a belief. You know, everyone rallied around this, and to this day they are socially friends. Of course, they gave each, you know, the one family gave the other family life, but you know, I mean, you think that this is just a simple job. Well, it's not a simple job, but I mean, you don't expect to have all the bone chilling experiences that happen, and you know, some of it is such joy, some of it is such grief. And you know, I just feel like my life has been so enriched, you know, by even being able to just witness it, just to sit back and witness all of the things. And you know, there's tons of hurt and you know, that we experience with people, and they feel it's a safe place. And yeah, I sort of worry about retirement, Susan, because I think, you know, I mean, there's going to be a void. Okay, enough about that.
Oh, well, I think if you look at the chat, Lori, you'll see that your story has touched all of us. I mean, of course, I'm putting in my brain, how can I put this into my talk at the UN next week? Like, because it is that kind of power that I want to get across to people about of what we do and you all do. Thank you. Who else? What else do you, what gift do you offer to our community? I know Lori has just set that bar really high.
She set it really high. And I don't know if there's anybody else, but like I found that I thought, well, I've been doing school stuff for a few years, so I thought of what Lori said, but mostly I thought, I don't give as much here as I get. Like I feel selfish because I come here to just soak it in. I feel so much more connected to the profession. And I hadn't realized that I missed that. You know, I spent over 20 years in elementary teaching, and I came to parent ed very intentionally, knowing that that was a better fit for my gifts. But I didn't realize that I was missing the camaraderie, that the thing, you know, where there are other, I just was used to doing my thing by myself, the only one in the district. And like this, I mean, that's, I don't know how else to describe. Like, I just like feel like I'm just soaking up. Like this is just this big warm blanket. So thank you for creating this space. That's a gift of COVID, I guess.
But your presence, you know, I mean, but just imagine, because I know a couple of you also have noted about listening, like said a minute ago about listening and stuff. But imagine if you didn't even show up to do that though, you know, I mean, I think that there's a way you're part of a community by being in the community, right? So just your presence and taking your time to be part of the community is a gift.
I think that's one of the things I was going to say is I feel so blessed every time I am able to make it. I feel like I wear too many hats, putting our pretty hats on today. And I end up, I hate when I'm about to come on. It's happened like the last 2 weeks and my boss calls and I'm like, oh, but it's connection time. Leave me alone. But I can't not take that call. So I take that call and we problem solve whatever came up. And it's it's so disheartening for me to miss this, because you can watch the recordings, but it's not the same as being able to participate. And it's just so much more meaningful. And I love the fact that I know that even though I didn't make it this time, I know I have next Friday. I'm going to try again next Friday, and you guys are going to be here. And yes, there's some in and out faces, but just knowing that you're all here and that I can come back again. So it's the same kind of, I don't know that I don't know what I bring, but you said everyone just being here is part of it. It's you guys all being here is the gift for me. I think a lot of us feel that. That's what it is. Just I feel like we don't work on Fridays at the school. We're all working from home, and I'm supposed to be doing all of these other things at home. And even if I messenger, hey, I'm in my Perfect Connections right now, she would say, yep, but I need to talk to you. You're going to have to step out of that for right now, because ECFE is this part of my role, and lead teacher is this part of my role, and lead teacher for that is this part of my role. And so to her, ECFE is lower on that totem pole, and I'm always fighting for it to be a little bit higher. But
Well, Melissa, that's a gift that you offer to this group, is the priority of being here when you can. I think, I mean, listening to that, and when you're here, I mean, you're always such an active participant. And so that's the thing too, that I think the community values from is that commitment to consistency and to being there whenever you can be, and coming back and all of that. So, I don't want to hear anybody put themselves down or whatever, because I mean, just even in you're describing, you are fighting for this time in your incredibly busy life, and you've done it, right? So thank you for that.
well, and I think one of the things for me anyway, I don't know if anyone else is the same, but in this group, this isn't something that I want to turn on and have you kind of sitting off to the side while I'm multitasking other things. This is something that I need to be focused on. So when that multitasking thing happens, if I have to go there, that's what I got to do. But I need 100% attention here when this is what it is. Even my kids know, because they're all working from home. I'm like, no, it's Perfect Connections time. Get out.
I want to, so there's so many things that other people have already said that I could also say. I know I'm a quieter member of the group, but just absorbing and taking in, being with colleagues is really important. I was just thinking about how sometimes when we are at other meetings or trainings or things like that, we're being asked to like stretch our parent educator brain to try to absorb whatever the school district wants us to learn or whatever, and then try to process it under a parent educator hat, so that doesn't happen in this group. It's just like being in a place with colleagues that work in the same way that you do. So you don't have to do that part. You can just take it in, for the way that, in the way that, fits, for this field, because it is such an interesting, it's such a wonderful field to be in. I've really enjoyed being part of this for as many years as I have, and I will feel a void, like Lori said, when I do retire, which will be sometime next year. And I just don't know how, it's like, who can I talk to that talks this way? I mean, that's the thing, is that I can talk with or be with here and not have to try to reframe the situation and say, well, what does that person mean? Because it fits better. So thank you everyone. And the other thing I wanted to say too is that I think that piece about being in so many different parts of the state has been really helpful. I feel like I have good relationships with parent educators in central Minnesota, but yet, we've lost connections too because of COVID. And so, there's there's just a lot that we learn from each other when we're able to be together. So thank you for giving us this platform, Susan. I think it's amazing.
Well, one thing I would take from what Lucille is saying, again, I'm listening to translate to the gift that we offer to the community is, and this kind of gets back to what Ellen was saying with the vulnerability, is that I think the group then is safe, right? Sort of like that, how can we, I don't have other groups that we can talk this way. Well, you can't talk this way if you feel a little unguarded or locked into a role or whatever. And so I want to thank everyone for offering the community this sense of safety, right, and acceptance, and embodying here the kinds of stuff that we do, I think, with our parents and with our classes, right? This is what we want them to feel. And I would think, if anything, there's a reflection. I hope you all are reflecting, because if you're feeling it here, you are embodying it to share it with others, right? That is how you teach. So Sarah and Carly, welcome. We're just going around, we're going around because this is our anniversary. So some of us are wearing things on our heads and little video filters to celebrate our 1-year anniversary with Perfect Connections. And I've just asked the group to share what gift they feel like they offer to our community. So if you'd like to put on a video filter, feel free, or a party hat. And Julie, and this is Julia's birthday. Julie, did I see you sipping champagne?
A champagne glass, but I have bubbly water.
I always love the kid in my class that follows my directions. Come prepared to celebrate. There's usually one. In our class, it's Julia.
All right. And as long as I'm unmuted now, I'll say I think I bring my gift as perspective, since I'm one of the few, I think, that's just an early childhood educator in ECFE. And because of that, I think it's also given me empathy for my parent eds that I work with. So I feel like I've grown a ton this year, and it's really helped our team collaborate a lot easier. And I love listening to the things that you guys talk about and the things you experience with your early childhood educators, and listening and trying to offer some ideas how to approach them. So.
I think kind of the same as Ellen, and maybe the opposite of Lori. I bring no experience, no years behind me. I'm the newbie teacher, but an openness. So an openness to new ideas, to being willing to ask questions, to learning from all of you. And this group has meant so much to me, even though I've pretty much only been part of it in 2021. It really helps someone who's new to feel more connected to colleagues. And I've chosen this field for a lot of reasons, and all of you help reinforce those reasons of why we're doing what we're doing. So thank you. Sarah just mentioned bringing the parent perspective as well, and how important ECFE was to me. And I will just reflect on that for a second. Lori's experience of being the parent ed when there was a kidney transplant, like, wow. Personally for me with ECFE, in my last year of ECFE, when I was supposed to be the chair of the Parent Advisory Council, and I was in my next to last year at the U to become a parent ed, it's actually the anniversary was this week. My husband fell down the stairs and almost died. And boy, did ECFE rally. I didn't know, I really didn't know what my community support network was until something horrible, awful, end of the world happened. And it happened. And for almost a month, I didn't have to worry about my kids or what we would eat. And I got to spend pretty much all of my waking hours and most of the ones I should have been sleeping in the hospital next to my husband because they had it covered. People I hadn't even, honestly, one mama who had come to a couple of the Parent Advisory Council meetings and was in our ECFE on a different day, she's the one who organized the meal train, right? I barely knew this mama. It was ECFE that kept my family going for almost a month. And the happy news is he fully recovered, but that first week it wasn't looking like he would even live, and then it was not sure what brain function he would have. So it ended up with a happy ending, but boy, did ECFE rally. And that's what this community is. It's powerful, important, deep stuff. So yeah, it matters what we're doing and the relationships that we help support.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that. I'm not sure what I bring. I think I bring, like, where I work, we had a lot of ideas through all of this.
Mhm.
And I was able to share, a lot of work that other people had done, and hopefully, was helpful a little bit. But the ECFE, I did ECFE when my kids were little. My son's 25 now. He got married 2 years ago, and his best man was from 3-year-old ECFE. And we had, and two of the other guys that were in his wedding. And so there was 5 families that we started doing stuff with, and they're still our best friends, 23 years later. And we've walked through a lot of those things with families, ill child, critically ill, all those things. And that ECFE brought that, to our lives, and it's completely kind of shaped who we are as well.
See, this is why I think I've mentioned to you back in, I think it was 2013, when we were doing our research to develop what became Parentopia, as I went around with focus groups with parents in ECFE and just asked them to give me a word, that describes ECFE. And which is always a fabulous exercise. That this one dad had said, this is my church. This is the place that I can feel like I can come to once a week and feel supported and nurtured and not judged, and that my spirit as a father is really, filled, and I am in a large, a community. And as you share your experiences, there's all this discussion about our loss of religion and as a society. And I'm more of a spiritual person than I am like connected to an organized religion. And maybe that changes my own perspective on this a bit. But when I hear these powerful connections and I think about the value of going to church or having a spiritual sense of connection, I'm not at all sad about society when I hear about this kind of power, right? And the value that programs like ECFE serve to offer this sense of community and connection. I just know that if we provided a more traditional parenting ed experience that was very behavioral driven or very child focused, and we're not even thinking about parents in the room and all of those things, you wouldn't have people sharing, creating a meal train for somebody else because they wouldn't even know your name, Becca, right? You would be associated as being, Becky's mom, and that's all anybody would know of you, and they wouldn't even care about your family, right? It would be all focused on the child and or donating a kidney. And so anyway, it's just you know, there's so much power in these connections and in these relationships that you all are making happen. So thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I have my earpods in and I can never sense whether I'm heard or not. I think what you said is that we were all invited to share what we bring, right? Anyway, but all I keep thinking about is, so I've been teaching this semester our classes for parents prenatal through 5 months of age, and I had a Monday morning group and a Thursday evening group, and the Monday morning group started off small and it's dwindled as parents have gone back to work. So the 2 remaining families, I know that one of the main reasons they joined ECFE or this class was to meet other parents. So I said, well, why don't you guys join the Thursday night group if you can? And so my Thursday night group has grown. And last night, I mean, as beautiful as it was outside, and I'm thinking, you know, who's going to show up? I had 11 families. Many of them had both parents. So, you know, 20 some adults and, you know, 11 beautiful babies. And when they all jumped on the Google Meet, I said, there's a couple of new faces. And I explained that I had invited these 2 families from the Monday group to join us. And so it was just beautiful, like how they welcomed them in. And I, you know, I did create, as I try to do often, some space to just share about you, like help us get to know each other. And I tell you, this group of parents, I mean, I fall in love with every group of parents I teach, but this group there was just so much joy and community. And so even virtually, it's possible to do that. So every group has bonded. And so I felt really good about that. And it was just such a large group. It was just super fun. And they were really engaged with the topic and discussion and talking to each other. And I thought, that's just it. I hold space for those relationships to be nurtured and to grow. And I feel so honored to be able to do that, especially at this time when I know, you know, just being a new parent, being at home is so isolating on its own. But during the past year of COVID, they just really look forward to these opportunities to connect with me, with each other. And the last group, because they're 8 to 10 week sessions, so the one that I had January through early March, I was doing some closure the last session and just inviting them each to share what their takeaway was, that sort of thing. And I had one of the parents acknowledge me. She said, I'll be honest, it was hard to, you know, it was January, dark winter, you know, I just worked all day. She said it was difficult, but she said, I kept coming back because I can tell how much you care. She was telling me that. And I was like, absolutely, I love what I do. And so that kept bringing her back. And then she bonded with that group and they're planning, you know, how to take walks together this summer. And anyway, so that's what I needed to share today.
Thanks, Carla. You know, as you're sharing that, I'm again just reinforced about the validation about our work that happens when we share experiences with the whole group, right? So that we don't feel isolated in what we do or the meaning of what we do when we can hear the stories from our colleagues, wherever they are in the state or world. And I mean, it's just so empowering. Right? Just to hear that what we're doing, we're not the only ones doing it because it has so much meaning. Like it's just, yeah. Sorry.
That's awesome. So I'm sorry I had to be late today, but I'm glad I came. I was like, oh, there's only half hour left. I'm really glad I'm here. I think that what I bring is a reminder that you guys are lucky to be installed at schools and that things can go south quick, depending on the leadership and the commitment level of your administration. And so I'm happy to provide that reminder, sort of. But also, I think this year I've been working with parents of older kids, so I've been able to provide a lens into what it's like to support those families, kind of as my only focus this year. And it's been a weird year for all families, and I'm so glad that I've been able to support some parents, if not parents of the littlest ones in a school setting, through it. So I think that's maybe what's unique about what I bring to this group, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody. It's been a lifeline for me. I like to feel normal and like what I'm doing is validated and shared by a whole community of people, and it's hugely important. So, and it's important to be thoughtful about it and smart about it and all of the things that you all are doing. So thank you.
And Sarah, I hope you check out Becca's comment in chat, because it is that additional perspective, right? I mean, we all demonstrate resilience in our own way, but you know, what you've experienced this year. I mean, honestly, I will say, because of one of the questions I've added to my survey that is going to go out to educators is about like structural, like changes in your program and how your program has changed, and then how that has affected you personally. And you have been the like main person in my head that is just like, I want to capture Sarah's experience too, because it's very important that our field understand that when stuff like this happens, it affects our work, affects our jobs, right? But it can also affect the structure of our programs. That can mean for some people that they lose their jobs, that they're laid off. That I know in St. Paul, for instance, a number of the early childhood assistants were moved to a different dimension of the school district, so they couldn't be in ECF because they were sort of needed elsewhere, and then they were able to come back. So yeah, I mean, it's just another thing that we have to adapt to. But when we think about things like, you know, in my world, using technology or teaching outside, like Ellen was talking about, like there's that, and there can be these ramifications on our actual jobs. So I want to thank you for sharing your experience, and also your incredible advocacy and being a model, you know, for like the letter that you wrote to your school district and standing up for the parenting educators and for, you know, like due process and all of that. So
thanks so much. That means a lot. Really does. I'm really complimented by it and all your comments in the chat. The other thing I'll say is how all of this has really crystallized for me this past year, the value symbolically and actually that parent ed, ECFE belongs in schools. Parent ed, it's a civic thing. It's a great equalizer to have these supports for all families accessible in a public school. And so while I am doing it through my own shop, and that's been a fun adventure and a fun experiment, it de-democratizes it. Do you know what I mean? Like it becomes a special thing that if you know about, you can sign up for or whatever. But the experience of walking into a public school building and sitting in the crappy chairs or the yucky tables that don't match, or, you know, the bad coffee, whatever it is, it's just a great, and my rainbow glasses now are like adding a really weird thing to this, but it's it's just a really civic, it's good for everybody that parents are meeting in those places.
Yeah.
And not someplace special that's only for some people. And so that's the other thing I've come to realize is so important. I think about ECFE and where it is, but thanks you guys for all your kindness. I'm flattered.
The other thing I wanted to share, Sarah, is just that, you know, your willingness to do so much of this like on your own and with technology and finding families, like it's been like, oh, well, maybe when I'm retired, I could explore some kind of, you know, like you've given me the like more permission to explore more options. So thank you.
Hey, Susan, you know what? When you said like bring a gift, I literally thought bring a gift. So I brought a gift here. Okay. Okay. So see this Star Cruise. So I think we are on a Star Cruise together in this journey, right? I felt I was so lonely. I thought no one could understand my passion for family education. And then last Friday, when you said you are the Lorix standing on the tree and you want the whole world to know how much you advocate for this, right? I just, that image is just in my mind all the time. And then, Lorix, after Lorix shared, my heart just broken. I couldn't say anything. I just feel like, oh my gosh, and Becca's story, right? So I never thought this could happen at ECFE class. I knew how much, important to me, right? I felt this, but I never could imagine this kind of story happen. I feel so, I think, if talking about gratitude, right? No one could have more gratitude than I have for this group.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel I'm so supported by everyone. And my identity is different. Maybe there's like additional contribution is my, diversity, right? So I'm the only one from diverse background, and I'm alone in this country. I have such deep love for the families and children here. I do not know why, right? And I feel, and I'm working, like creating new things in this new environment. I do not know anyone. And then I'm receiving all this support and love from Minnesota. I feel this, I really feel, I cannot explain this. I just feel this is God's plan. That is all I can say. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Yuji. So first of all, yeah, here, everybody, let's do the hug. Yeah, everybody, arms up, arms up. We're doing a virtual hug. Squeeze in a little bit tighter. Oh, it feels so good. The little audiogram that I shared is a little teaser for the thing I'm doing next week, but I wanted to share it with you all mostly because two things. One is, as I posted about the this thing for next week, people have said congratulations, and it's not, for me, it's not that. Yes, yeah, but I am just so passionate and excited to advocate for parenting education as truly as a global strategy. And from my work with you all and I am a firm believer that we end up in the place that we're supposed to be. When I took the job in Minnesota, I took it, one, to return to family in the Midwest. And also I wasn't crazy about working with cooperative extension. So it allowed me to do that and have more of a traditional faculty position. I honestly did not know much about ECFE, and I didn't know really anything about licensing and parenting education. And it has been such an incredible gift for me to be immersed with the ECFE program in the state. And because of my work with parenting educators, I've always in my work, since I got my degree, my doctorate, I've always been in supportive professionals. So that's that. But especially with parenting educators. And so it gives me a double platform. I mean, I am a unique person to be able to speak on this topic of families and new technologies and parenting education. But because of my lens in parenting education, I then too can advocate that we don't just create parenting education, that we need to support parenting educators to do that. And so I'm just like giddy, not by this opportunity like it's some big honor. I mean, it is an honor, right? I'm glad that I was asked, and I positioned myself so that somebody knew enough to refer me to the UN for this. Mostly though, I'm just excited that I get a chance to be in a platform that allows me to be an advocate and to share my passions and to brag on ECFE and this model of parenting education that is so built on relationships, and I have always believed in that power. And so anyway, so that little MP4 thing that I just shared is I've only shared that because it sort of is, they asked me to do this and like I had to just knock it out in a minute. So it's, but it kind of encapsulates this message about helping families, but helping families through parenting education. And it is my vision that there would, like, parenting education would be available as like for everybody, you know, this civic responsibility that is parenting education, that, you know, like public libraries and everything else. Like if we care about children, how can we not offer parenting education? Anyway, but that we can't ignore the professionals. Like one of my things that I'm saying in this is start seeing parenting educators, right? Because there's that, you know, and that it's more than just seeing parents, but it is seeing those people who are on the front lines, who are in direct service and support to those families and making this magic happen in creating these spaces of relationships, of support. Now I'm getting all verklempt. So anyway, so I just want to say that's why that MP4 is there, just that you had that little bit. The other thing I just wanted to mention was that everything that you're talking about, I mean, the gift that we all bring to this group is diversity, in the sense that there's the diversity we think of with Yuji's being from another culture. It's something else though, as you listen to everybody, between Julia representing early childhood teachers and Lori, you know, and Lucille from their experiences, from Becca being a new teacher and bringing in a parent's perspective, Ellen sharing about her vulnerability, right, our consistency, Sarah having the diverse experience of being laid off, and, you know, and her being a champion for the field. I mean, all of us bring diverse perspectives to a very common understanding of what parenting ECFE, right, is, and as a community together. And there's really wonderful social network theory about sort of strong bonds, right, of having social ties that are very strong and that are trusted and everything like that. And yet, if we only retain those strong bonds, we don't grow. And real growth comes from having social connections that are diverse, that when we have those diverse connections, we have evidence from parents, for instance, that their parenting is better because they have more to pull from. They have more tools in their toolbox. It's not that just going to their mother-in-law, you know, and their sister to get advice on how to parent. Right? They've got all these different perspectives, and then they can choose what is going to work best with their child. And so I'll just leave us today with, you know, what I hear from this whole group, that a true gift that we all bring to each other is the diversity that gives us all these different perspectives on how to do what we do, gives us more tools in our toolbox. And from doing that and the consistency and commitment that we have to our community, that we come back every week and we can get this. So thank you all so much. I will close this off for today unless anybody else has anything else they'd like to share. Thank you for wearing your party hats. I will see you all next week.